Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, and the Labour Ministry will publish a comprehensive list of the hurricane relief provided to each Member of Parliament. The Prime Minister says this will prove whether repeated claims that the government has been favouring JLP MPs in the distribution of relief items can stand up to scrutiny.
I have given a directive to the Minister of Labour, to the Minister of Local Government, and to ODPEM that they must release all public aid that has been given to every Member of Parliament in this country, so that the unfair and malicious attempt to cast the government in an unfair light can be dispelled by facts. So, Madam Speaker, that will be made available as soon as the next sitting.
The Prime Minister again expressed his disgust at what he sees as a deliberate attempt to mislead Jamaicans about the government's relief effort. He says ODPEM will allow the public access to its inventory management system where people can see the real-time movement of relief items into and out of government warehouses.
And we have also said, I must say, Madam Speaker, I received yesterday a very good report from ODPEM that they now have in place a proper system to manage inventory. So very soon, we should be able to have a public access website where we can see everything that comes in and everything that is given. We will put an end to this deliberate, malicious attempt to destroy the reputation of the government.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. A senior member of the JLP's Communication Task Force, Senator Marlon Morgan, says the party will be aggressive in its pushback against misinformation and disinformation.
The JLP's Communications Task Force has a duty to ensure the public has access to accurate and verified information and will be sparing no effort in ensuring that correct, edifying, and uplifting information is placed in the public domain. It should be noted that while much attention is focused on disseminating information regarding Jamaica's recovery and reconstruction amid the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa, the task force will be even more strident in combating misinformation and disinformation.
Last Friday, Prime Minister Holness declared war on misinformation and disinformation. According to Senator Morgan, lies are being told about the Prime Minister's visit to the Maroon stronghold of Okompong in St. Elizabeth on Sunday.
The most recent example of disinformation apparently aimed at embarrassing the government is the assertion across some sections of social media that members of the Maroon community in Okompong, St. Elizabeth were given quote-unquote paint water to use for drinking and other domestic purposes. Nothing could be further from the truth. People who tell blatant lies and spread false information, ostensibly in their quest to score political points, do our democracy a grave disservice and serve to erode public trust and confidence in institutions that deliver public services.
Senator Marlon Morgan, a senior member of the JLP's Communications Task Force. The Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, says 79% of customers have had their service restored since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. According to data provided by JPS, as at December 1, 6 parishes still have more than 40% of customers without power. These are St. Anne, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. Westmoreland remains the biggest challenge for the JPS. 88% of its more than 34,000 customers are still without power. In St. Elizabeth, 56% of 46,000 customers are still in the dark. JPS says it has restored power to Lucy in Hanover, sections of Mile Gully in Manchester, and sections of Anchovy, Tamarind Hill, and Orchard in St. James. JPS notes that 97% of the major public and private hospitals in the island have had their power restored. Digicel, meanwhile, says 66% of its critical facilities have been restored, while Flow says 65% of facilities are back up and running. The National Water Commission says 77% of its critical facilities have been restored. Meanwhile, the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, says it's closely monitoring a series of temporary billing relief measures introduced by the major utility providers in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. In the week after the hurricane, the regulator wrote to all major providers requesting details on how they intended to manage customer billing in the months ahead. The OUR says similar correspondence was sent to private water and sewage operators serving smaller communities. JPS has informed the regulator it will suspend service disconnections and waive late payment fees until December 15, 2025. The Light and Power Company says it will also offer flexible payment arrangements to residential and general service customers in need of further support. The National Water Commission says it will halt billing in the hardest hit communities beginning December 2025 until water service is restored. The utility will also review estimated bills issued in November for customers who've been without service since the hurricane. It has also extended its MSME amnesty program until December 31, 2025. Digicel and Flow have rolled out customer relief initiatives, including pauses on disconnections, the waiving of late fees, and rebates where applicable. The OUR says it supports the initial efforts made by the providers and will continue to engage them to ensure customers are treated fairly during the recovery period. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the government is making efforts to procure trucks to boost the fleet of a National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, struggling to clean up the country in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, says Melissa left nearly 5 million tons of debris in its wake.
We have already reached out to Tanquil to purchase the tipper trucks that they have in stock here, because those trucks will be needed for another urgent intervention, which is the removal of hurricane debris, which is now creating its own separate problems. I don't believe we have enough trucks in Jamaica to have a concentrated effort, but there is another process going on right now to acquire trucks for the NSWMA to deal with the massive debris crisis.
Dr. Holness was speaking at the handing over ceremony for 12 water trucks to the NWC. On Tuesday, he says 8 more water trucks are being procured by the government to add to the NWC fleet. Jamaica secured over $90 million in climate financing during its recent attendance at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP30, in Belém, Brazil. Climate Minister Matthew Samuda made the announcement in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
The outcomes position Jamaica to attract, as you would have heard in the breakdown, additional financing, a financing mix of US $93.5 million. And to the Leader of the Opposition's point earlier, that is $23.5 million in grants and $20 million of drawdown from the Loss and Damage Fund, with $50 million being absorbed in the World Bank's. And as I said, we have passed the technical review stage of over $170 million of grant financing review from the GCF, which we expect to go to the board in March and in June based on the respective projects.
The minister negotiated the various arrangements during bilateral meetings at the recently concluded climate summit. The funding includes $50 million available through the Climate Investment Fund and $20 million for a pilot program for climate resilience. The minister says the Jamaican delegation to COP30 successfully advanced the discussions with key international partners, securing significant technical support opportunities for climate resilience and post-Melissa recovery.
Provide greater oversight and to drive the process of accessing the funds mentioned, the government will be establishing a climate finance committee comprising members of the Ministry of Water, Environment and Climate Change, Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, the PIOJ, and the Development Bank of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, Jamaica must continue to advocate in forums such as COP30 because the world must indeed keep the 1.5 degree target alive. Not as a slogan, but certainly as a lifeline. Because for us, it's not about politics or pledges. It's about people, our farmers, our fishers, our children, and our right to a prosperous future. Thank you.
Matthew Samuda, Minister of Water, Environment and Climate Change. An item of regional news now. In Guyana, the government says it plans to incorporate 5,000 persons with disabilities into the workforce. President Dr. Irfan Ali made the announcement on Tuesday evening. He was addressing the awards and gala ceremony hosted by the Guyana Tourism Authority. Dr. Ali's comment follows the signing on Monday of an agreement with Guyana's major utility and service providers to expand employment opportunities and improve access to essential services for persons with disabilities. And further afield, Israel says Gaza's main gateway will open in the next few days to allow thousands of Palestinians in need of medical care to leave the war-ravaged enclave through Egypt. The Israeli military